Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video is going to be another installment in my AD&D First Edition for Modern Players video series. And today I'm going to focus on experience points and the pace of leveling. So I think one of the most significant challenges to win over modern players to AD&D First Edition or any of the older editions of Dungeons and Dragons is the issue of pacing of leveling. Many modern players are familiar with milestone leveling or very rapid player character growth in the power curve, and that's something that's just not the case for AD&D First Edition. However, I wanted to look at certain ways of making it a little bit more vibrant, a little bit quicker, but still hold true to the longer pacing for leveling. So I've been dabbling around and thinking about some homebrews I might actually implement and test those out with my current player group, which I've described previously in the last couple of videos. But I have 7 players, most of which have not played AD&D First Edition. Only one has played it very briefly with me back several years ago, and he played for a couple of sessions, probably about 4 weeks worth of play sessions, possibly a little bit more, but not much more. And so now the party itself has a cleric, a druid, a fighter, a ranger, a magic user, an illusionist, and a thief. And so when I start talking about my my homebrew for experience points, I'm going to relate it back to when I think it's a probable that these player characters will level up from first to second level. So without further ado, let me jump to my PDF and start bringing you through what I'm planning on doing. So here we have Bloodworth's AD&D XP system homebrew. So there are several different ways that the players and the player characters can earn experience points. There's session experience, there's combat, there's treasure, there's exploration and knowledge, that's the acquisition of knowledge, and then there's role-playing and heroism. So session experience points. So I've been utilizing this system for quite some time now, and that is granting session experience points. This doesn't mean that you're getting experience points just for showing up. What this means is that you're getting experience points for participating and engaging in what is taking place at the table. So you are, you are focused on the action that's taking place. When it's not your turn, you're still focused in on what the other player characters are doing, so that you can then modify what your character is going to do. And so this isn't just you're sitting there and rolling dice when you're called upon to do so. This is actually being engaged in the act of playing the game, including role-playing, but that comes a little bit later, and I'll get into that. So session experience, I've been utilizing basically 50 XP per hour of play. So roughly anywhere between 250 and 300 experience points per session. Now that could be modified later on, and I'll talk about that. The next is combat experience, and it is the X number of XP per creature killed or defeated. And then that number is then divided by the number of PCs participating. So I have a group of 7. So let's say, obviously, I'll keep the math simple. Let's say that during the course of this particular session, they killed 700 XP worth of creatures. then that will be divided by the number of player characters, which is 7, and so they're each going to walk away with a combat experience of 100 experience points apiece. Then we have treasure experience. Now, treasure experience in AD&D First Edition is 1 gold piece equals 1 experience point, and then again, when you divvy up the treasure and you spread it out amongst the entire group, you're basically going to take the whole amount of treasure gained during the session, and you're going to divide it by the number of participants. All right, so once again, in this case, divided by 7. So let's say, again, they collect 700 gold pieces. Well, now they're going to divide that by 7, and so they'll have 100 experience points plus the 100 gold that they'll have in their own personal wealth sack, whatever it is, whether it's their pouch or whatever. Now we have exploration and knowledge XP. These are XP earned by encountering or gaining knowledge. So if they encounter a common creature for the first time, they're still going to gain no experience points from that because it's a common creature, well known. So that could be an orc, that could be, a wolf, that could be something that is very common. Now, there is a regional aspect of this. So if you're encountering something that would normally be common in some other region, but it's less common in the region that you're in, and that's where your player characters are from, then they might actually gain what is considered uncommon. So uncommon XP is going to be 10 earned just for the first time that they're encountering this creature. So it is like an acquisition of knowledge, and that's the reason why they're gaining the experience points. If the creature is rare, then 50 XP is earned. If the creature is very rare, it's going to be 250 XP earned. And then finally, if the creature is unique, then it's 1250 XP earned. Usually a unique character, obviously it's a one of a kind or a named creature or whatnot. So again, these encountered earned experience points only for the first time that the creature type was encountered by the players, individual players. So these are all individual experience points as well. So far, if we start looking at some of the scenario that I already put out, let's say it's a 2.5-hour session. So that's 250 experience points. Then let's say there was 700 XP from combat. So now each player character is getting 350. Then treasure, 700 gold pieces. Now it's 450. All right, and let's say that they encountered, a couple uncommons, and let's say 5 uncommons and 1 rare. So that's another 100. So we're up to 550 XP. So the DM will determine what tier of knowledge is gained, what knowledge gain falls within. So what tier that knowledge gained, because they can gain a bit of knowledge that has to do with the adventure that they're on. And so I could say, all right, that's an uncommon bit of knowledge. They can through interactions or whatever, they can gain something that I wasn't quite expecting them to gain, and so that would become, once again, either uncommon or even rare bit of evidence or bit of information that is going to help them out. They probably wouldn't gain knowledge that is either very rare or unique, but I think it's a good idea to have various levels of, knowledge that they're gaining during the course of time. This also applies to exploration as well. So if they're traveling to distant lands, well, if you go into the next adjacent country, that might be, either fairly common if they're used to being right next door to it, but if they go 2 countries over, now that might be uncommon. If they go to the far side of the far side of the realm or whatever. They've traveled 1,000 miles away. Well, that's going to be rare knowledge. Again, they're only going to gain this experience points for the first time that they're encountering something. Lore will also be categorized using the same categories and will also be campaign dependent. How important the discovery is for the campaign itself, all right, or for the particular quest that they're on. Finally, role-playing and heroism. This rating will impact only the session XP. So there's a rating system that is in the Dungeon Master's Guide that really does, it's like a calculation and it's a percentage of the overall experience. And I've kind of simplified that for my own system here. So this again only impacts the session experience points. It will not impact treasure that's gained or combat experience points or knowledge or whatnot. This is just dealing with the between 250 and 300 experience points gained based on the number of hours the session lasts. If a player character's role-playing / heroism is rated as poor, all right, and this includes causing another PC's death or directly causing the quest to fail. If through the player's actions, which are just so egregiously wrong-headed, let's say, and causes another PC to die, then it's going to cost them 250 XP. All right, so that means that they will not gain a good portion, if not all, of the session experience points. If it's below average, this includes severely injuring other PCs. I'm not talking about just a total accidental fumble that causes a minor injury. I'm talking about just misplacing a spell that doesn't kill the player characters, but it does severely injure them, where it's going to require a lot of additional healing being cast on them and basically burning up unnecessary resources. Then they're going to lose 150 XP. This also includes needlessly complicating the quest that they're on. So if you're making decisions, if the player character is actually doing things that really does slow things down or hinders the quest that they're on, then of course that's going to be below average. Average means just you get your basic standard session XP. Above average, which means that you're demonstrated some creative thinking and or role playing. All right, and so that's going to give you an extra 50 XP. Superior is 150 XP bonus. That's creative thinking, role playing, and stand out in success of the quest goals. So if you really come up with an idea that's like, holy cow, this is really going to assist the whole party and move the quest goals that much closer. Basically, you surprise me as the dungeon master with some really brilliant ideas. That is going to get you an extra 150 XP, for your session. And then there's heroic. I really want to encourage my players to be in the areas of above average, superior, and heroic. Now, heroic is nearly sacrificing oneself for the others or for the success of the quest. Obviously, if your character dies, you're not going to gain any experience points. But if your character, nearly sacrifices themselves, really puts themselves in harm's way for others, or to be successful in the quest, then that is going to be something that's rewarded with an additional 250 XP. All of this is designed to do two things. Number one, it's designed to move the pacing of leveling a little bit faster than it typically happens in AD&D First Edition, but not quite as quickly as milestone leveling that you have in AD&D, D&D Fifth Edition or possibly other systems. And I will totally admit, I am not a fan of milestone. I think that milestone is just way too fast, and it encourages, I think, poor gameplay. I prefer to do a system like this here because I think, on the second hand, it encourages good role playing. It encourages heroic or superior gameplay, and it keeps, I think, the players focused, through their characters, focused on being very mission oriented. So the quests, what is going to move our character group, our party, closer to being successful in our quests without too much sidetracking and without too much, just poor decision making along the way. Now, I have utilized the rating system from AD&D, First Edition's Dungeon Master's Guide, and I ran and stuck pretty much to it for almost 2 months, and by that time frame, my player party group, they had, they had learned not to make any silly mistakes or whatnot, not to be overly cautious, but not to be foolhardy either. I always encourage them to take bold actions, but not silly ones. And eventually it got to the point where I no longer needed to utilize that system to encourage good role play. They just started doing it on their own. And that's what's, I think useful with a system like this, is that it does encourage good play, and it encourages cooperation with one another. It encourages planning with each other, and it encourages that they're going to be focused on what other player characters' situations are, and it's not just I'm only going to focus when it's my turn to roll dice. It's going to be I'm going to pay attention to the action taking place because I might need to jump in and help somebody else out, or I might need to do something else, take a different action than what I was planning on doing in order to impact in a more positive way the situation that they're in. So I strongly encourage you to consider using whatever ideas work for yourself that is going to both pick up the pace of leveling, but not to the point of it being like milestone leveling. So I'm going to switch views here and come back over to this here. So again, looking at my characters that are in my party. There's a cleric, and the cleric will go up to second level after 1,501 experience points. Then the druid, these are in alphabetical order, not in numerical order. A druid will be after 2,001, a fighter 2,001, a ranger 2,251, a magic user 2,501, that's the longest. An illusionist 2,251, so same pace as a ranger. And a thief is 1251, so that's the fastest to get the second level. And when I averaged it out and it came out to 1965. So amongst the 7 player characters in there, 1965 will get a number of them, especially the lower level ones, up to second level. So the cleric and the thief will definitely get to second level after 1965. Then I started thinking about, well, what's the minimum that the player characters would earn in a session where they did nothing else but just role played with NPCs, or do something in a town without really discovering very much or whatever. And let's say that was a short session, that was only a 2.5 hour session. Well, they would gain 250 experience points. So at that, and I started pacing it out, and it came up to around, around 8 or 9, around 8 or 9 sessions would get them from first to second level if they were virtually doing nothing but showing up and interacting with one another. Basically doing a social, a social kind of gameplay, rather than doing any exploration or combat or treasure acquisition or anything like that. Now, of course, they're not going to be in the position to do that. They will have adventures that they're going on. They will have combat. They will have exploration. They will have those other things. And so, once I start averaging those things out, like I did in that little brief model right there, where they were pushing around like 500 experience points from one session, then we'll start to see that the cleric will, let's go in order. The thief will definitely level in 3 sessions. All right, 1251, let's say get 1500 is there. The cleric at 1501, just about 3 sessions, maybe a little bit more if they get slightly more in experience points, but certainly there. After 4 sessions, that's when the druid, the fighter, will certainly come in. And then after 5 sessions, all of the rest. So I think it's fairly reasonable to think that the entire party will level up from first level to second level in 5 sessions. Maybe a little bit less, maybe slightly more, but certainly I think that's a good target goal for pacing. Is roughly 5 sessions. So if you're having weekly sessions, that's 5 weeks. So in 5 weeks' time, your player characters will get from first level to second level. Now, in comparison to Milestone, they would probably be in like 5e, they would be 5th level by that time, which is, to me, it's just way too fast. It's too much for newer players, let's say, to try to absorb their characters' abilities and such if they're leveling up, every week that they're playing. To me, that's why I don't like Milestone. I think that the characters gain too much too fast, and it doesn't leave enough time for the players to really start developing their characters' personalities and how they interact with one another. And they don't really develop their characters in a more meaningful way when they're gaining those levels so quickly. I'd rather have something where it's fairly slow. Now, the last time I did an AD&D First Edition campaign, I stuck more closer to just what they were gaining from, from session. I was using session, and I was doing, combat and gold-related XP or treasure-related XP. I wasn't adding some of the other things into it, and so it probably took a little bit longer than what I'm planning on here, but not much longer. After 2 years and almost 3 months of gameplay, the characters, based on their class, ran anywhere from 9th level, which was the paladin, to as high as 11th level, which was the druid. The 10th level was the thief, who didn't play as often near the end of the campaign as well, so that's why he wasn't gaining as much experience points. Otherwise, he would have certainly been at the same level as the druid, if not higher. But the range for all of them was between 9 and 11, and so that took, the better part of 2 years for them to get up to that point. Now, I know in comparison to 5e, that is, that's just unheard of, to have a campaign that's 2 years long, or the player characters will be like level 20, long before that. So, like I said, this is going to be the challenge: is to take the modern players and get them used to the fact that their characters are going to level up slower. However, I think the trade-off is more than its own value. I think that the trade-off for having a better developed player character is a fair trade-off, if not a beneficial trade-off for the slower pace. So that's pretty much where I'm leaning towards running with our new campaign, and I can't wait to just have these new players start to experience it, and I will certainly gauge to see how things are going. There's always ways that you as a dungeon master can manipulate the pace, of that leveling by by adding a little bit more experience points for role playing and whatnot, or being a little bit more generous with some of their some of the things that they're finding, some of the creatures that they're encountering or whatnot, changing it up a little bit and letting them encounter more things that they've never encountered before, so that they're gaining the experience that way as well. So there's a variety of ways that you can manipulate this to change that pace if you find that it is getting a little bit too laggy and you want to give them some boosts up, or if they're leveling up too fast, then you could of course limit that and reduce that as well. So I think it's important to set a reasonable pace for leveling, so that the players do have that sense of character growth, but not again so fast that they kind of lose track of the development of a character role playing wise and whatnot. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining in. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, and definitely hit the alert bell so that you'll get alerts when new videos drop. And be on the lookout for more content for AD&D First Edition, particularly more content for AD&D First Edition for modern players. I'm really enjoying putting together this series of videos, and I'm going to keep on, putting them out there. In the comments section, if there's something else that you want to see specifically in this series, then please let me know, and I will certainly put my thoughts together on it, and then I will produce another video along the lines. I did also want to announce, because this is another video that I will be doing some coverage on, I just received in the mail my copy of Dungeon Module G1 through 3. So this is Against the Giants by Gary Gygax, levels 8 through 12, so it's going to be a while before this particular party ends up tackling giants. But I'm going to see how I'm going to integrate this in. Another great buy on eBay, and it is in really good condition, and I will be showing that off in a video tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so I will be doing Tuesday evening. I will be running my Amazing Adventures, the second try at at running that opening session. I had a bit of a delay from last week Tuesday. If you follow my channel, you know that last week was a tough week on Tuesday, and so going to pick that up again this week, and we'll get right into that. And then I'll do a follow-up video on that on Wednesday. And then Friday is the first session of my AD&D First Edition for my modern players. And I will do a session recap after that, probably on the weekend or sometime in the week, because we're going to be playing bi-weekly instead of every single week, at least initially, until we kind of get our pacing and everything set out. So looking forward to that as well. So you'll have a great rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a convention sometime soon. My next convention is in June, so quite a ways away, but really looking forward to that. And you all have a great one, and take care.